Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Xiong. Last year's annual survey by the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, conducted by leading pollster firm YouGov, found a large increase in support for socialism over the last year, particularly among those between the ages of 16 and 39. Within the Gen Z group aged 16 to 23, support for socialism increased nearly 10 percentage points over the course of a single year, from 40% in 2019 to 49% when this poll was taken in September 2020. Looking at the entire population, support for capitalism declined from 58% in 2019 to 55% in 2020, while support for socialism among all Americans increased from 36% in 2019 to 40% in 2020. An overwhelming majority, 78% of all Americans, believe that the divide between the rich and the poor is a serious issue. Of the 68% of all Americans who believe that the rich are not paying their fair share in taxes, 49% believe that a complete change of our economic system is in order. These statistics indicate a significant shift in political mood and the perspective that has occurred over just the last year, as the COVID-19 pandemic has ravaged the US and the world. While polls from the last few years have shown a substantial increase in support for socialism among young people, as the millennial generation reeled from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The data shows that COVID-19 and the descent of the country into political and economic turmoil has only further discredited the capitalist system. In fact, according to the report, 60% of millennials support a complete change of our economic system away from capitalism, and 57% of Gen Z does as well, increases of 8 and 14 percentage points, respectively, from just last year. The statistics from the report are also remarkable in demonstrating not only a growing interest in socialism, which contains a mixture of conceptions, but a growing interest in Marxism specifically. I was born in China and I grew up in China during the 70s. I am an eyewitness of what socialism and communism could do to a country. Between 1931 and 1934, the Soviet government starved ethnic Ukrainians through a man-made famine in which at least 3.9 million Ukrainians died. Besides Joseph Stalin, the list of massacres by Mao Zedong of the People's Republic of China is extensive. Between the Great Leap Forward, the Chinese land reform, and the Cultural Revolution, it is estimated that anywhere from 50 to 70 million Chinese lost their lives. One survivor of the Cultural Revolution, York College professor Zhihao Zhou, recalled, "Two enemies of the state lived under the same roof as me, my sister and my father. His sister's crime, being a school teacher, his father's, serving with Americans during World War II. When Zihao's father died from years of assaults by the Red Guard, a paramilitary movement, Zihao was not even allowed to mourn him as he was an enemy of the state." And while the current Cuban regime has been nowhere near as bloody, its strict authoritarianism has led to thousands of Cubans protesting in the streets for the end of communist rule. Why are young people in the US attracted to Marxist ideas? According to Morgan Zergers, founder of Young Americans Against Socialism, there are two main reasons. One, they do not know the reality of countries that suffered from communism or socialism. Two, they are in a kind of comfort zone and a convenience that prevents them from visualizing beyond the goodness of the capitalist system in the United States. I agree. Also, why young people are more in favor of communism, I believe, is because they are young, they are children. Children are taken care of by their parents, and the socialism promised to take care of you. The government will take care of you from cradle to grave. You are children of the government. It is appealing to young people. It is easier. We are wired to take the path of least resistance. It is part of human nature. Let somebody else taking care of you is easier than you solve the problem yourself. It is easier to be an activist of some cause and forming picket line outside the gates of institutions and yelling slogans to make changes without understanding the nuances of the problem. Why young people are receptive to communism is also because communism believes in rebellion, believes in challenging the status quo. Not only in the US, youth across the globe romanticize the idea of communism and idolize communists. Karl Marx, the founder of communism, is indeed such a historical figure. In the old days, people around the world used to think that entire population always fall only in two categories: king and a commoner, master and slaves, leader and followers. But then Karl Marx came along and smashed this ideology with a new social political theory which he mentioned in Communist Manifesto, and brought the concept of equality. He said everyone is equal whether he is king or commoner. As years went by, dictators like Fidel Castro in Cuba, Joseph Stalin in Russia, and Mao in China used this theory to awake working-class common people to revolt against incumbents and hence start a revolution. But now, as everybody knows how actually things turn out later, quickly, communism turned into totalitarianism and brought heinous atrocities on the people it was trying to save. The core difference between democracy and communism is that communism can corrupt far more easily than democracy. In democracy, you can see when the government isn't doing its job properly, but in communism, that's absolutely not the case. So, young people romanticizing the idea of communism is quite understand. They are young, filled with energy, and always want to do something. Whenever they see anything wrong happening, they want to accentuate it and criticize the authority responsible. There is one fatal flaw of communism. It doesn't achieve anything, and it's unproductive. Criticizing other people's job and telling them how they should do their job is easy. Anyone can do that. However, getting in the system and then trying to change things from inside is tough. It is very tough. It takes years-long studying, strength, courage, hard work, and maturity to be in that authoritative position. Only through those positions they can create any real change in the society. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly.